All right, live from New York, as you can hear out the window, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, It's me, Lady Ada. With me is Mr. Lady Ada, and we're broadcasting live from the downtown Manhattan factory where we house Adafruit. This is the place where we do all the testing, shipping, coding, manufacturing, support, videos, and all the fun projects that you love to use and make electronics things with. Behind us is the factory, but it's resting, it's asleep, everyone's home except for us. We've got a full hour of all sorts of fun maker news, updates, products, videos, guides, and more. We'll tell you what's been up for the last week. Kicking off, Mr. Lady is going to tell us on what's on tonight's show.
On tonight's show, the code is DOFIMU. That's right. Hard to say. It's not really a word, but you get 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, or when I remember to turn the discount code off. It gets you 10% off in the Adafruit store on everything except for gift certificates, AdaBox, and Code Academy courses. It supports us, an open source hardware company here in New York City with a bunch of interesting, cool people who we pay. They have healthcare, they have 401ks, we got paid day off for voting, we got paid day off for charity, we got a mother's room, we get a lot of stuff. And when you buy something, you can save a little bit, and it supports us, one of the only woman-owned manufacturing companies. I'm going to just say it, the world, and someone
In
can
open source,
someone
definitely.
can well actually me on Twitter.
Go
and
for
I'd like
it.
to see that, because I would then just celebrate those.
Look,
other
everybody else is
companies.
getting canceled today.
Yeah. So, anyways, save a buck or two with DOFIMU. We'll tell you why that code is that later. Okay. So we have show and tell. People around the world showing and sharing their projects. This was a very special show and tell. Lady Ada will talk about that.
Yeah, I will.
And more. John Park Workshop, going to talk about that. Some Make Code Minute. Some Python on hardware. Some time travel, where we look at the world of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers and what's going on. Help wanted jobs from the Adafruit Jobs Board. You can post your skills there, or if you're a cool company and you're looking to hire, you can post there too. 3D printing a video from Don Pedro. We got some main New York City factory footage, some new products. We got some cool top secret. We'll answer your questions. We do that on Discord. Almost 16,000 of us now. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Dun dun dun. Yay.
All right.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah, so let's talk about the code. Remember that code I was talking about? Well, you should use it.
Use it. Use it or lose it.
DOFIMU.
DOFIMU?
DOFIMU.
Dof.
But DOFIMU is really what it is.
Yeah.
While you're checking out, you'll probably notice we give away free stuff.
There's freebies.
Yeah.
You got our stock freebies, $99 or more. You get a free Promo Proto half-size breadboard, perfect for taking your solderless breadboard project and soldering it onto a half permanent, half prototype Promo Proto PCB. $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping into the continental United States. That's high quality trackable shipping. We love it. It's our preferred domestic shipping partner. And then $299 or more, you get a Circuit Playground Express, or all-in-one development board for learning how to make projects with electronics. It's got sensors, buttons, LEDs, alligator clips, all ready to go, and you can use it to code in Arduino, C or C++, make code or JavaScript, code.org CS Discoveries, which is also JavaScript, CircuitPython, which is Python derivative, or other languages like Teeny Go or MicroLisp.
Okay. So we have some other things worth mentioning on checkout. For US, UPS is the way to go. If you're okay with mysteries and waiting and maybe mysteries. Things not being trackable all the time.
Where is it? I don't know.
Postal service for you, and then international DHL. End of story. Same day delivery in New York City is possible. Just on checkout, just see if it's a zip code that we have that we can do, because we can't do all of New York, but we can do quite a bit of Manhattan, and it has to be before 11 a.m. Show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Who was on the show and tell this week, and what did they share?
Well, we kicked off with a special edition of the show and tell. We had Sophie from Supply Frame / Hackaday Prize, and we went through the winners of the Hackaday.com Take Flight and plus DigiKey Take Flight with Feather contest. DigiKey sponsored this project. Hackaday ran it. We kind of got the word out and also did some judging. So we did a great job running this contest. It ran through early January. We had like 80 plus entries. They were all amazing. Each one of them is lovely, and it is worthy of its own prize. But only a few got actual prizes. Check the Hackaday.com site for the announcement of the winners, because I don't remember each one of them. There's like a spider feather.
We're going to show it later on the show tonight.
Oh, we'll show them later on the show.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then we also talked to the manufacturability winner, the one who will actually get 100 boards made, which is the Open Book Project.
And we're gonna talk about this more later, but this is just to give you a preview. You've probably seen this project around on the internet. It is not only a beautiful looking thing, the idea and the cause and what this could mean is just as beautiful. So inside and out, open source software, open source hardware, being able to view books that are free and open and public domain on the Open Book Project. So this is what we're going to be making here at Adafruit.
Most amazing. All right, great work.
Congratulations, Joey.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much, everyone at DigiKey, who's a sponsor, at SupplyFrame and Hackaday.io, and most of all, thank you, Joey, and all the people who entered. Thanks for sharing something special with the community. And I'm going to say this, thank you, Lady Ada, for coming up with Feather. And if you love something, you set it free, and look at this flourishing ecosystem. If you make electronics,
A flock of feathers.
If you make electronics, you got a feather. You got a feather game. Gotta.
It's cool.
So it's cool. And
it's an open standard. Everyone
Yeah.
have fun. SparkFun, extended it, made Thing Plus.
SparkFun did stuff. Particle's doing stuff.
Particle did stuff.
Go to github.com/Adafruit.
Maxim made feathers.
Awesome-feather, and there's hundreds. They're hard to keep track of.
It's true.
You could make a pillow with all of these feathers.
Little chunky feathers.
Yeah.
So thank you to Joey and Sophie for coming by. We spent a couple minutes to chat with them about the winners. So that was the special edition first half. Then we just speed around. We did get to a whole bunch of people from Adafruit and the community. Scott from Adafruit Northwest got a cool serial comparator from a thrift store and is going to turn it into a sequencer. It's got switches and it's old and it's funky looking, so it would make a good synthesizer. JP showed up his upgrade to HID volume potentiometer. This time it's on a Proto Gizmo. Nan Pedro made a new NeoPixel Infinity Mirror. Last week was the Infinity Cube. This week it's Infinity Mirror, so a little easier project with an itsy bitsy nRF52840 Bluetooth module, so you can control it via Bluetooth. Drew came by. Helen is still in Berlin, it seems, but he's got a flex capacitive touch prototype with rounded traces to show off. A coin battery tester he's improved with a couple slots, and also showed off the first proto of the Open Source Hardware Association Conference badge/watch. Botch.
Yeah.
Or WADGE.
And if you stick around for a little bit longer in the show, we'll show it to you.
Yes. So stay tuned.
That's right.
Going soon. Liz Blitz City is working on a new weather display for PyPortal. She made some cool 8-bit graphics. Also working on her wireless synth. Matt kind of did a similar remix of JP's volume potentiometer. He made a DIY surface media dial. I guess these are a couple $100, but you can make one, again, with a rotary potentiometer and a Circuit Playground Bluefruit or any other Circuit Playground or any of our Bluefruit boards. I've never used it, but I guess it's a Windows 10 surface media.
Cool.
Like you press the button to change whether it's zoom or scroll up and down. It's like one of those generic media dials, but you press it to change the different modes, and Windows 10 handles it.
It's $100. It's a physical device, but you can get a Circuit Playground Bluefruit for
DIY.
for $20. Make your own.
Yeah, make your own. But it's also cool. Maybe it could be used for accessibility stuff.
Yeah.
Coding Pro is working on a new AdaBot Discord bot called ShopBot and demoed it off. You can ask ShopBot about stock levels
you can see it in
and
Discord right now.
product IDs and find the product ID for a name, all sorts of stuff. And Richard A. is working on a PyPortal UI design guide and showed off his initial UI.
Okay.
That's what we had for Show and Tell.
All participants on the Show and Tell get an Asking on a Show and Tell sticker. Email support@adafruit.com, and we'll send you one if you're a kid. Please have a guardian-like entity email for you. Part of our Adafruit live series shows tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, John Park Workshop. So John Park's working on a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to just show some snippets from some things JP is working on. First up, if you have an iOS device and you want to do cool things with volume controllers and more with hardware outside of just using the iOS device, this is for you. So this is really neat. You pair the Circuit Playground Bluefruit, and then right away you're able to make a silky smooth volume knob. Look at that.
Yeah, what's neat about
Look at that.
BLE is
Do music.
this is for the Apple Music service. So it's a special, it's not just a keyboard, it's actually acting as a special music interface device. And so it only controls the volume and tracks, and you can also get information from Apple Media Service. So we'll be doing a guide about that soon.
Other one that's kind of interesting. This is the kind of, going back in time a little bit. This is like the first knob project we got going. It's like, okay, here it is on the breadboard. Here we are, like making sure it works. And here's like the first early stages. You can see the little LEDs on the Circuit Playground.
I think
Bluefruit.
John Park's icon is his face with 2 blue fruits on it on his eyes. It's
that's what we requested.
cool.
And then this is, kind of the remote,
Yeah.
more advanced version.
This is making a keyboard with 5 buttons. So this could be interesting for accessibility or like unique interfaces. And what's neat is you can have it press, play, this is just like A, B, C, D, E for each button. But you can also have it send whole strings or like special control characters. So if you've ever done HID USB devices, you can now very easily port that code to Bluetooth. It's like the same exact code, except you pass in a Bluetooth device instead of a USB device. It's really neat.
Yeah. All right. And then every single week we do a Make Code Minute. And here is the latest.
Take it away.
For the Make Code Minute today, I wanted to show you something that is really useful and quite simple to do, but really an elegant way to improve some of the visual quality of your games that you make with Make Code Arcade. And this is the flip image block. So here's what I'm going to show you. Here's a cute little character I have in a game here, and all my game does is I can move this character with my arrow keys. And you will notice I have 2 little sprites here, or actually 1 sprite that has 2 different directions it can go depending on the direction of movement that I'm doing in the game. And so the way to do this is to use this image category block that's called transformations, flip picture horizontally. And so what I've done is, I can zoom in here a little bit. On start, I'm creating a sprite, and this is what this sprite looks like. In fact, I can zoom out a little bit. So rather than try to mirror it in the sprite editor, we don't actually have a mirroring tool in the sprite editor. So you'd have to kind of redraw that or go to a different tool and import it. So there's actually not a convenient way to just transform the image itself during the sprite creation. However, that's no problem. We can have the game only store 1 sprite, which is more efficient, and then transform it for us during gameplay by using that flip my sprite image, is the block I'm using to refer back to my sprite's image horizontally. And then I've just set up a little bit of logic that says there's a variable called facing right, and that's false to begin with. If I hit the right button, then I am facing right, and I flip the image horizontally. If I press the left button, I am not facing right, and so we go ahead and flip the image back and forth. And so it takes care of all that mirroring transformation for you, and you can see it's really fast. I know my frame rate's a little slow on broadcast, but it's lickety-split, really fast, and a nice way to add a little horizontal flipping effect to your sprites inside of Make Code Arcade, and that is your Make Code Minute.
Okay, so John Park's workshop tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch it, learn how to build all these things and more.
Cool.
All right, Python on hardware.
Blinka, 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 I made you out of Python. Blinka, 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 I'd like to eval your REPL.
That is, that's pretty good.
I don't know.
You thought of that on the
Look,
fly.
I'm going to stick to the engineering, okay?
So, big news, the Open Hardware Summit 2020 badge is CircuitPython powered. That's big news.
Just drop the biggest news first, why don't you?
The end. Good
No
night.
build-up?
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, fine.
So, here's some renderings
Renderings.
before it got sent out.
So you can see Bluetooth, B&O 055 sensor,
Yeah, I'll go back to that.
APDS sensor, 4 buttons,
Yeah.
environmental sensing.
Yeah.
This is jam-packed. Look, it's got a quick connector even. Yay!
Yeah. And so, what I think is cool
What's cool?
is it's the number 100 CircuitPython board.
which we did not plan. It
it's-
actually just happened that way.
It's the 214th open source hardware certification grantee.
That's a good number, too.
Yeah. It has DigiKey as a sponsor. SparkFun and OshPark are working on it, making it. And I think best of all is we were able to make something together as a community like CircuitPython. And I saw the project log, and there was a bunch of different choices that the team who's working on this could make, and they evaluated all the things. No one picks things all the time because they like us. I assume they like us, but maybe let's assume they don't. Doesn't matter because you get so much with CircuitPython.
I think,
It's like it was chosen because it was the best possible thing. It wasn't because like Adafruit asked for it. It wasn't
No,
because
no.
we had anything to do with it.
We
In
had
fact,
nothing to do with it. It's
on
fine.
our list, circuitpython.org/downloads.
Yeah.
There are more non-Adafruit boards than Adafruit boards.
True.
There's 59.
I will
plus.
say, I think, Drew has done a bunch of badges before. I think he's project managing or kind of like he's working on this project. And I think his last project he used the ESP32, which is a great chip. I love the ESP32, but because it doesn't have native USB, it can be challenging to get files on and off of it. And I think, he was trying to have people change their photo and text on the badge. And I think like they had to come back to the desk to do it or use like a special tool. And that's why I think he liked the idea of CircuitPython, where anybody, once they had this watch/badge, you could quickly modify it, hack it, adapt it. And I think that's the goal of CircuitPython. People are like, what's CircuitPython about? It's about ease of use. In 5 minutes, you can get something done. You have the ease of use of Python and beginner friendliness of CircuitPython, which also means experts find it easier to use as well.
If you like rapid prototyping, if you like having great documentation, you like having lots of code,
You want to just get
this
to
is
it?
for you. But I like that if you're doing a badge for the open hardware event, you kind of have to pick the most open stuff. You kind of have to pick the things that people will be able to do the most with. And we didn't know about this. We didn't know anything about it other than it's like, hey, we're doing this now. So I thought that was cool. And it's one of my favorite quotes is be so good they can't ignore you. And I think that if you do a good job with firmware and code and lots of things, people will just use it because they're like, well, like this is just the best thing. And like that's how I feel about Feather and Stemma and CircuitPython and lots of other things in the electronic community. But this is neat, and I can't wait to get mine.
We will.
All right, next up.
Stick.
Keith Packard is doing a very cool crowd supply. I was about to say crowdfunding and like Kickstarter and all that, but it's on crowd supply.
Well, there's a cool rendering.
Meet the SNEC board. So the SNEC board is a CircuitPython compatible board. It runs SNEC. It is Python on a very small microcontroller. And it's a great tool for teaching hands-on robotics and programming for young and old. Here's all the stuff it can do. Build a SNEC board out of Lego parts. And if you're interested in this, you can use CircuitPython or the SNEC language. And it's available on crowd supply. So we're a backer already. SNEC board.
I think this is interesting because, yes, of course, SNEC, this is a really cool low-cost way to use SNEC or Python hardware, but the EV3 module from Lego, like their official programmable brick, is also now MicroPython compatible. That's new. Like a couple weeks ago, we announced that. So I think it's interesting to see how kind of everyone is sort of meandering, but eventually getting to the point of like, you know what, Python is a really good way to get people programming robotics and electronics. And you said before that robotics, if you have to calibrate sensors and test motors, doing it in rapid iteration with CircuitPython is really great.
Yeah. If you have to change one little value to make the servo do one more angle and hit compile and save it, and all these things come up, and then it transfers down, and then it has to boot up per iteration, you're looking at days and weeks just to do the same thing you can do live with a REPL. So I think wherever this electronic world ends up, I think live coding and REPL and a scripting language, Python-like or Python, is going to be where it's at. And because that's where it's going, too. It's not we're making this up. We're actually just reporting on what's happening.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been distributed yet, as like Bill Gibson would say. Okay, so that's going on. All right, next up. So we have some massive updates on CircuitPython.org.
Yeah, we're skinned up.
It's cool.
Blinka has shed her skin and grown a new one.
Yeah, so the things that are in there, There's a homepage that has descriptive text on why CircuitPython is easy to use, all the folks we thank, and all the links to the different efforts that are out there. Special thanks to Damien George from MicroPython. That's where we got our start with CircuitPython. Downloads features over 100 boards and now has a counter of how many boards that are supported. Same for Blinka. There's a board counter and there's over 35. Libraries, the CircuitPython library bundle contains all the current libraries available for CircuitPython, over 200. Handy links for how to contribute, the latest news, and I put in an RSS feed. Thank you, Justin.
You've always wanted an RSS feed.
Everybody should have an RSS feed.
You love them.
Links to awesome-CircuitPython as a resource, the newsletter with all the past issues we've ever sent out, help link, Discord server, and how to get started. Go check it out.
New boards.
CircuitPython snakes its way to the Arduino. How do you think?
The Shao.
The Shao.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a minimal low-cost board, uses Atmel SAMD21. Guess what? You can run CircuitPython
So
on it.
love them.
What if you want to do some space stuff? So Max and Zach are doing an event. It's the Robot Exploration Lab, and Kubos and Loft Orbital, they're the host. And if you want to learn all about PyCube, the CircuitPython powered satellite board, and why they chose CircuitPython, check it out. There's some slides and more that you'll be able to see on the tweets, but I posted up the Eventbrite link and resources and more. This is kind of cool. There's a LoRa watch coming soon, open source LoRa communicator, and out of the box, out of the gate, guess what? They're
You could be doing something really important.
They're saying CircuitPython's going to run on it. So they have posted up some renderings. I thought that was cool.
That was nice.
And here's the 3D one that
I
spins
think it's
around.
like, yeah, it's very similar to the watch
yeah.
that, I mean,
So
yeah,
this
for
is so
watches
cool.
is great.
We didn't get around to doing a watch yet. No problem, someone else is. So that's cool.
Nice work.
Also, here's a cool video that was posted up. It's all about the Adafruit Itsy Bitsy NRF 52840, and watch the whole thing later. But this is a nice community-made video that shows all the cool features and all the things it can do.
Smaller than a 9-volt.
There's some really neat games. We've had the Pi Badges and Pi Gamer out for a while, and students are making pretty cool games. This is Joe in the Jungle and Snack Kebab's Bongo Bonanza. It's a CircuitPython game, old school video game for the Pi Badge. And it's made with the CircuitPython and Stage Library to create a Guitar Hero-like game. This is the egg collector.
Okay, I need
So,
eggs.
Yeah. So you go and
Go get the egg.
You know, guess what you're gonna do?
Oh.
Collect eggs. Don't get the bomb.
Don't get the bomb. Uh-oh, tough. How are you going to get both eggs?
All right.
Okay, it's tough.
So the other thing that we've been trying to do, and again, it's like I think I said this on the show and tell, when people talk about stuff that are using it, they usually come up with better words than the people who are making it. So this is neat. You know, I always have to remember, like, what do people say about CircuitPython and Python on hardware? And John on Twitter was just talking about this. And someone was like, oh, what's the CircuitPython thing? And they said, it's super nice to be able to reuse the same libraries on the microcontroller as on the server and desktop. And that's what we did with CircuitPython and with Blinka. So that's nice. Here's the CircuitPython project. This is the NeoPixel strip matrix. It's animation with NeoSprite, bitmap-driven animations. We link to in the forums and GitHub and YouTube. And you can see how this is made, and it uses CircuitPython. Up next, this is a 240 by 240 mini Pi TFT as a Pi hole with a BME 280 on a stemma QT with CircuitPython.
This is cool because it's exactly what it's meant for. It's like you can,
Yeah.
it's an ad blocker, but also connect up a sensor to the plug and then run our example code and you can immediately get sensor data.
Yeah. Tom created a CircuitPython library for the FFT code based on the Supercon Audio Badge project. Using the Adafruit guides made it super easy. You can check out the code, and this is a little bit of a snippet from what it can do. Next up, lots of neat combinations. This is Evan's project. It's a Sphero RVR and CircuitPython working together. The Metro M4 over there.
Yeah.
Arturo of NXP chip fame and Feather NXP fame had a neat thing. Took 5 minutes to add support for a new display. CircuitPython. That's how easy it is.
Yeah.
5 minutes. There you go. Bang.
Bang. Repl.
Like this?
Like that?
There you
you go. You're repling.
This is from Deshipu, one of the most talented console makers for CircuitPython. This is a case mod that someone in the community did. It's really neat. The maker movement now just makes Baby Yodas.
It's 100% Baby Yoda.
And so this is a 3D printer 3D printing project, and this was from Micro Center, and they used a Circuit Playground to animate it. So, or Baby Yoda. It's kind of cool. This is a LED little black dress with a sound reactive mode and other patterns by Geek Mom Projects. It was made with a Circuit Playground Bluefruit. Here is a first rev of a Bluetooth LED air quality monitor using our stuff, AdaBox right at Christmas. And here's another quote: crazy how much you can get built these days just using Python. That's right. You can build it with just Python. Other stuff going on and hardware that we thought was neat. There is a lot of really cool companion bots. It's from Angela. And you can see this really cute bot. This is a bunch of feather stuff. The tail has a power cord in it. Super cool. Over on the Microbit world, micromag.cc, they are now open for more contributions. So if you like yourself some Microbit and some MicroPython on that, you can write an article. A couple neat projects. There's some LEDs, NeoPixels, in resin. Good for a project like Valentine's Day related soon. This is kind of neat. This is some 3D printing in NeoPixels.
Yeah, I like these fans.
Yeah,
That's a cool. It's like a different shape and style. I've not seen this kind of thing.
Yeah. And, you know, we had a recap of a lot of the guides. This is CircuitPython Powered Cube, and that is the Python on hardware news this week. Oh.
Thank you, Adabot and Minerva.
All right, so let's do some time traveling.
Okay.
All right, do you remember Show and Tell tonight? That was
Like
pretty cool.
the thing that was like an hour ago?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Remind me, what
Yeah.
happened?
Well, we talked about the Hackaday Take Flight with Feather contest sponsored by DigiK
Oh, yeah.
and Splyframe
Okay, I do remember that.
and Hackaday.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. So we wanted to go over the winners in one specific spot here. So
Okay.
Congratulations, Joey, on the Open Book project.
The Manufacturability Prize, we will be manufacturing 100 of these open books
Yeah.
for everyone.
No, you're-
It might not be instant because we have to do a little bit of work to get that going, but I'm very excited to have this
Yeah.
be available on digikey.com.
Feathers in Space. That's right.
Space feather.
The Junebug project, which is designed as a feather-compatible brain for small satellites, is probably one of the most interesting feathers to function without a battery. So you can use intermittent computing with that. Junebug takes the "you'll cut yourself" on the edge title.
Look at that gigantic capacitor. It's like a surface mount supercap.
Okay.
Fuse or something.
Next up, 4 legs, 1 finger, and a serial port. The spider wing gives you the creepy crawlies as it ticks around on 4 legs made out of 12 microservos.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of taste of the prizes and the people and some of the projects and more. We'll be following up with Joey soon. We're going to be doing a video, and this will be available from DigiKey. Not too far from now. Next up, if you are a student and you are part of the GitHub education program, you get a free year of Adafruit IO now. So all you have to do, you probably already know this if you're, they email and they do the verification. Usually it's pretty easy, you have an EDU address, but once you have all that going with GitHub, sign into your Adafruit account, go into services, and click the GitHub Connect. Once you do that, you get a code for Adafruit IO for a year, and you get a 30% discount on either Circuit Playground Express or Circuit Playground Express Bluefruit. And so that is just for GitHub Student Pack folks. Each student altogether, for you to add up the value for all the different partners on this slide and more, it's about $200,000. And this is the first time they added hardware. So we have a software piece, which is Adafruit IO. We also have Circuit Playground Express, Circuit Playground Bluefruit. So you can get it for 30% off. It's a big deal.
Nice.
Okay. Adafruit Jobs Board, jobs.adafruit.com. And this one, I'm doing a favor for our friend. I said I'd definitely get the word out in addition to just, have it there. Waldemar is one of the best living LED artists on planet Earth.
You like LEDs? You like making them look good?
Jobs.
Here's your job.
.adafruit.com. Check it out. Look at Waldemar's site. Google around. This is one of the most interesting jobs I think we've had because your art and your code will go in places you've never expected. So jobs.adafruit.com.
You can go to like hang out with artists. You can go
He's
like,
way too
open
cool.
it. He's very cool.
He's super cool. He like.
If you want to get into that scene, this
Yeah.
is definitely the way to get into that scene.
He's like an art. He's like an artist.
Yeah.
He's an artist. So, anyways, check it out. All right, we are an open source hardware company. We got a few things going on right now. We started up Stemma.
Awesome Stemma.
So github.com/adafruit/awesome-stemma. Anne's doing a great job with this. If you want to contribute, this is going to be very much like Feather and CircuitPython.
And please, it's also awesome. It's awesome Stemma because we've had Stemma for a while, but also submit things for Quick, for Grove.
Quick, Grove, Gravity.
Gravity, whatever, any kind of plug
Stemma
and play
is meant to bring these all together. And
hopefully it's the most compatible. Yeah.
it is. That's because that's what you wanted to do.
That's what I want.
So one of the things that our goal is, hopefully, like besides just like making stuff that the customers want and the community wants, what I'd like to do is see the community of companies get together, because everything is like kind of Feather, like has kind of a Quick or Stemma Grove Quick thing. Also, it's starting to run Python. I'd like to if we could all just get together and say, hey, look, this is the format. These are the formats that really make sense for us.
Yeah.
I think the end result for the users and the customers and the community, they'll just get more, because they won't have to I have to get an adapter, I have to change code, I have to do this. They'll be able to do a lot of stuff. So we'll see. Open Hardware Summit's coming up. We'll see if folks are into that idea. I said it before. I'm going to show you the photos. These are hot off Twitter.
Hot.
This is the Open Hardware badge for the year.
Look at that. You got Bluetooth, memory. You got some sort of chip thing. Got a TFT connector.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Looking good.
Looking like it even has
With
the open
perfect
source hardware, the
Purple
marking.
PCBs from Oshpark.
Yep.
Okay, we
It's
have
happening.
2,105 guides.
I think did all 8 guides go live this week?
Yeah.
We had a lot of guides this week.
Yeah, I like it when I can do this.
I know, when it's nice.
I like it when I can do this like perfect screenshot with 8.
Yeah.
Because you can still read it, and I can do this trick to show like the animations.
It's true. Okay, so let's go for the bottom 2. So Brian has been working on IMU boards. We've just been cranking through all these different inertial measurement unit chips because we're trying to kind of get all of them ready so we can release Sensor Lab that supports all different ways of getting the sensor data. So the LSM6DS33, which is a very low cost, 6 degree of freedom gyroscope accelerometer, we now have a guide for that. We also have like the matchy magnetometer. So ST makes ST makes the LSM6DS33. They also make the LIS3 MDL magnetometer. So the 6DOF has accelerometer and gyroscope, but usually you want 9 degrees of freedom. So you would pair that with the LIS3 MDL to make a 9DOF. So you'd have like both. We have a guide for each individual. Sometimes you just want a magnetometer, sometimes you don't need it. They're available as separate breakouts. We also have one with a combo. Each guide goes through Arduino and CircuitPython code and examples. So whether you want to use it with Arduino, Raspberry Pi, a microcontroller, whatever, we've got code to get you covered.
Shout out to Brian, also known as Sedacious, for these.
Yeah, he's just walking through all of these different guides, and we have more on the way. Kattni wrote up the guide for the Adafruit Itsy Bitsy NRFC2 840. This is our littlest Bluetooth board. People wanted this before the new year. We got it up before the new year, and now we have the guide up and ready. Whether you'd like to use it with Arduino or CircuitPython, we have code for it. It's a lovely little board with Bluetooth and a couple little extras on it. Easy to use with CircuitPython, but we've had Arduino support for a very long time for this board. And again, it's the smallest Bluetooth board we have. So definitely you can fit pretty much anywhere. Carter did a guide. We have the MCP221, which is USB to I2C adapter. So we thought, let's look at some of the projects that we've done where, for example, you read sensor data and then you put it into a Google document for data logging. This is a kind of common thing that people want to do. They want to have a spreadsheet of data, but they don't want to enter it by hand. What's neat is Python can write to Google document. The hardest part is actually getting the permission to do that. You have to set the permissions for the Google document to let you write to it. But once you've done that, you can have data automatically come in streaming over USB. So this is basically without a microcontroller, with just direct computer to USB connection, you can get any sort of sensor data and automatically fill in, every few seconds or minutes, this data to do data logging direct into a spreadsheet, which is just super cool. Kevin Walters did a guide. He actually kind of threw this in unexpectedly, but this guide is really neat. This guide is about how you can take 2 blue fruits and turn it into a quick dot project. So who pressed the button first? So we've had this project for Circuit Playground Express, but when you want to do a wireless version, it gets a lot more complicated because there is the time of flight, like how long does it take messages to go back and forth over Bluetooth. So when it first starts up, it actually does a little ping pong check to see how long is it going to take for messages to go back and forth between the two, so you can get like synchronized messages. Also, it goes into the science of whether you should use audio or visual triggers to let you know whether to press the button. So it's like a science experiment. You can actually see like how fast do you react, and it turns out, well, I won't spoil it for you. Check it out because it talks about the visual cortex and like the auditory cortex and like the different signal paths of your brain and like how they figured out how the brain works based on these experiments. So this guide went into like a totally cool place. So check out this guide. I learned a lot from reading it. Even if you don't want to build it, I think you should check that out. Noah and Pedro did the NeoPixel Infinity Mirror. Will show that guide, and JP did 2 BLE HID projects. One is a volume knob, a rotary encoder to volume up and down, as well as a 5-button simple keyboard. So a keyboard project and a rotary encoder project. 2 different ways to do Bluetooth Low Energy HID in CircuitPython. Boom. Those are the guides.
Yeah, and there's a couple little other videos that we'll get to later in the show, and we already showed some of this.
NeoPixels.
So that's coming up ahead. We'll show the
Cyber.
longer video of the NeoPixel coaster soon. Okay. Whew.
Whew.
Let's do some
So many
New York
guides.
City factory footage. And it wouldn't be New York City factory footage without a bunch of construction going outside our window.
Yeah, that building's gone. Now it's time to clean it up and get ready for the next one.
Our rent's going to go up a bunch, so don't forget to buy stuff because we got to save some money. We have to put some money in the bank. It's going to happen. Okay, let's do some 3D printing.
Okay. Get some infinity mirror action.
3D printing, we're going to do 2 videos back to back, and we'll see you at the other side. First is the infinity mirror, and then some SpaceX speed up printing.
See you in a few minutes.
Hey, what's up folks? In this project we're building yet another infinity mirror. So this makes a really cool optical illusion that uses acrylic mirrors and a strip of neopixels. We're using the Itsy Bitsy with the NRF52840 so we can remotely control the LEDs. With the Bluefruit Connect app for iOS or Android, you can set different colors and animations. I designed the 3D printed parts so they snap fit together, so it's pretty easy to build. I made it portable and added a rechargeable battery. With the switch, you can easily turn it off. In this video, we'll walk you through the assembly and show you how to build your own. The code for this project was written in Adafruit CircuitPython. It's really easy to set up hardware with Bluetooth using the BLE library for CircuitPython. With the LED animation library, you can customize the settings and create different effects. The code is on GitHub, so you can download and modify it to work with your projects. I designed the enclosure to house all the components so they snap fit together. I tend to make these parametric so it's easy to swap out different parts. So you can easily scale this up, and I think it'd be cool to see a much bigger version. You can get the parts to build this project, links are in the description. I cut a strip of neopixels so that it's long enough to wrap around the acrylic inside the case. I removed the sheathing because I find the hot glue sticks better to the back of the strip. I made sure to wire up the first LED using voltage, ground, and data in. I wired up a slide switch to the LiPo backpack so that we could turn the circuit on and off. This is wired to the back, ground, and USB pins on the Itsy Bitsy board. This add-on board lets you recharge a LiPo battery over USB. You can plug in a LiPo directly into the JC port on the side of the board. I made sure to check the wiring and test the switch. The neopixel strip is wired to the pins on the bottom of the board so we can share the ground pin. With everything wired up, we can test the circuit out before installing it into the case. If you're new to electronics and just getting started, be sure to check out our Learn Guide. There you can follow along with the build photos and a wiring diagram. This roll of film has a one-way mirror finish that becomes transparent when it's lit from behind. I cut out a sheet and trimmed it down so that I could make several pieces that fit the acrylic disc. This way I have some extra copies in case I mess something up. I'm using this serving tray so that the soapy water doesn't get all over my work surface. Also using a pair of gloves so we can avoid smudges and fingerprints. The film has a protective backing that needs to be removed. Adding pieces of tape to the corners can help peel apart the two layers. These acrylic discs have backings on both sides, so you'll need to remove them as well. I used a spray bottle with soapy water to wet the surface of the acrylic. The sticky side of the film also needs to be wet, so I made sure to get total coverage. The trick is to use lots of soapy water so the two surfaces can adhere smoothly. Place the film over the acrylic and try to get it in the center. Lay the film on top and press down. I used the squeegee that came with the film and rinsed out all the water and air bubbles. I made sure to use plenty of paper towels to soak up all that water. I proceeded to squeegee the film until all of the soapy water has either been wiped away or dried out. Once both sides look good, I let the film dry for a few minutes before trimming the excess. I flipped it over and used a box cutter to trim along the edge on the outside. You want to be super careful not to scratch up the surface while doing this. This took me several times to get right, so it takes a bit of effort to get a nice finish. So with some practice and patience, we're able to get these two pieces. This 3D printed ring will help the neopixel strip stay in place. The strip is fitted inside and wraps around with the neopixels facing inwards. The wiring is fitted through a slit so it doesn't get kinked while installing the acrylic. I used dabs of hot glue to attach the strips of neopixels. This keeps the strip nicely secured so it stays in place. I made sure to keep testing the circuit so that I could catch any mistakes. It's a good idea to wipe down the acrylic before installing them into the case. The first piece press fits into the top cover with the mirror side facing inwards. The ring of pixels can then be fitted inside. Make sure the wiring is lined up with the slit. The second piece of acrylic can then be placed on top. You want to be sure to turn the circuit on to test out the effect. The frame can then pass through the electronics so it can be fitted into the top cover. These two parts snap fit together and they have pretty tight tolerances. You want to make sure the wiring is still lined up with the slits. The itsy bitsy can then be snap fitted into the bottom cover. Tabs on the side will keep it in place. The LiPo backpack also press fits and the slide switch is installed into a little holder. The switch is easily accessible on the outside of the bottom cover. With the parts in place, the battery can then be connected and tacked down. The bottom cover can now be snap fitted into the frame with the openings lined up. Turn it on, try it out, and there you have it. My final build has a few air bubbles, but overall, it's a pretty decent finish. I want to give a shout out to the NM Maker on YouTube for inspiring this project. Link to his video is in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Alright, learn how to make all this stuff with Known Page Driver Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. 3D Hangout's the longest running 3D printing gonna print show.
Yeah.
On there. Printing,
Print.
gonna print.
Okay.
Okay, before we get going on new products,
Dolphin
Music,
Meal.
yeah. Supports us. There's us. Just some of us. This was around on Friday. There's more of us, but
Yeah.
I don't like mandatory company events. I did like for legal stuff, you know, like, hey everyone, here's harassment training, here's
Yes.
workplace violence training, here's the 401k stuff, here's your medical bit. Like, yes, you have to show up to that. It's important. But I don't think everyone should be forced to be in a company photo. You know, like, I don't think so.
No, some people don't like to be photographed too, and that's fine.
And I think because we don't do that, a lot of people show up.
they do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Also, we have remote. Like, remote is kind of the future of work. It's hard to get everyone at the same time. Maybe we'll get little bots so they can show up. In the
You get little
background.
cyber bots.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get a copyright strike for that. You're not allowed to.
I don't sing that good.
Yeah.
All right, let's
All right.
kick it off. Don't
Well,
forget,
You gotta subscribe to Databox.
so for Adabox, next one's coming out. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. But speaking
Better
of,
and better.
these were the magazines in the last Databox, so we have a bunch.
And we have some left over.
Yeah.
Pick them up. These are. This is a lovely Adabox. Of course, it
It
has.
says make your
the
Christmas, but buy it
gizmo.
anyways.
It has everything. It's got Bluetooth Low Energy in
There's
it.
CircuitPython and Bluetooth Low Energy articles in it. Collect them.
This cool
Supports
cube.
Hackspace.
This is one of the best hacking, making, crafting magazines. 132 pages, beautiful photos, beautiful guides, beautiful
Yeah.
tutorials. I mean, these is
Save
a
it,
really nice
And
magazine.
then, oh yeah, I'll go to the overhead for a second. Save it and then
Look,
just give it as a
cotton buds.
Christmas gift. That's my bud.
Those are buds.
All right.
So yeah, all sorts of cool stuff in here from any kind of skill. It doesn't have to be electronics, although of course, and you know, if you subscribe, get a free
Yeah.
CircuitPython Express. So
I was just talking to a journalist, and I was saying there's never been more magazines for makers, because I think they were writing about like, oh, like what's happening with Maker Moon. It's like it's not all just called Make, you know.
Yeah.
There's Hackspace. There's like Diode magazine. There's
Diode Zone,
I just
whatever,
went through the whole list. I'm just like I can't keep up with stuff
Too many
because
magazines.
there's too many publications online and print.
okay.
But speaking of Adabox,
Speaking of Adabox as well, so we've sold through the Adabox 14 packs, or the ones that are left over. We only have like a dozen or so left over from the build. Just we make a couple extra just in case. So if you would like to follow along with the AdaBox 14 projects, we now have a pack in the shop. It doesn't have all the extras. It doesn't have the tissue paper. It doesn't have the cool AdaBox insert, but it does have all the parts necessary to build the projects, such as the snow globe, the TFT Gizmo, the Circuit Playground Bluefruit. So if you'd like to follow along with the AdaBox projects, and we have a lot of them, this pack, it basically has everything that you would need to do so, minus the cool box. Okay, this is very
Art.
macro.
It's art.
I know what's going on here, this texture. This is a very, very tiny LED. This is a 1.5 millimeter by 1.5 millimeter
There we go.
NeoPixel. These are small. They're so small, and it doesn't even make sense to me to show them on the overhead because it's just too small. But I will show you as
Get a little closer in there.
I
a
soldered
little
it
closer
to
in
some wires so you can see it.
I want to see how. Let's see if we can get that to focus better. That's pretty good.
Okay, it's basically like a teeny glowing LED. I mean,
like a
like
grain of sand.
it's just like it's a grain of salt. It's super tiny, 1.5 millimeter by 1.5 millimeter. I soldered wires onto the bottom very carefully. Not recommended that you solder them directly. I mean, this is a little delicate. I use like the silicone wire. What I recommend you use is a surface mount setup. So like, like here we have a 2 by 2 millimeter dot star. This is a 1.5 by 1.5 NeoPixel. So great if you want to add a little LED indicator that uses only one pin, which is really great. That's what I love about NeoPixels. And of course, there's libraries and drivers for almost every platform to drive these LEDs. So you get the bare LED. You do not get it soldered onto wires. If you want to use little point source LEDs, but you don't want to do the soldering, we have in the shop this LED strip that uses the same LEDs, but they're pre-soldered onto the strips. 1 second. Let's open this up and I'll show it to you. So this is the same LEDs, but they're soldered on, and you can cut these little tabs. So if you just want the little point source of lights, or you want a couple in a row, this might be a better way to go. So you can either pick up this LED strip, or you can get the individual LEDs if you are comfortable surface mount soldering those little lights. That said, these are the smallest addressable LEDs we've got. It doesn't come any smaller than this.
All right, well, that's that.
Tiny.
Okay.
Nope, that's it.
Next up.
Okay, DPS 310. This is from Infineon, and they made a barometric pressure and temperature sensor. It's got a nice range, and it's ultra high precision because it does many oversamples. What's nice about this is it's got I2C and SPI. We've written a Arduino library for it, working on the CircuitPython code that'll be out. By the time you watch this video, I'm sure it'll be live. And what's nice about this is it's designed to make it easy to do precision altitude measurements. That's what you can use it for environmental sensing, like if you want to know what the incoming barometric pressure is, so you can know what the weather system is. But for example, here I've got the sensor, and you see it's pretty stable. It's like, okay, the height above ground is about 44.9 meters. And as I raise this above, you can see I've got the wire stretched out. It's like, okay, your wire is about 30, 40 centimeters long.
Show you.
Okay, so I can show. So as I raise and lower it, it can actually precisely tell. It theoretically can do 10 centimeter precision.
Yeah.
The absolute
Very cool.
accuracy might not be as perfect, but this is a good sensor for any kind of altitude sensing. It's inexpensive. It's a great idea for a drone or any other kind of project where you want to have it stay a certain altitude above ground. Also good for environmental measurements, of course, but I think what this is really good for is precision altitude measurement and conversion. So check it out. It's very low cost, a great alternative to the Bosch BMP 280 at a really great price. It's almost half the cost.
All right, star of the show tonight, besides you, Lady Ada, our community, and our customers, and our team, is this.
Okay, we have been just cranking through all of these ST IMU sensors. This is the third of the batch. So we've done the LSM DS33, we've done the LSM 6DSOX, and now we have the ISM 330 DLC. So you're like, okay, there's a lot of letters and numbers. What's the deal? Basically, when you have a 6 degree of freedom IMU with accelerometer and gyroscope, the accelerometers are pretty stable. Those you don't have to worry about. But the gyroscope, you're going to pay more to have a more stable gyroscope. Because when you do inertial measurements, accelerometers, it's usually a relative. You doesn't have to be absolutely correct. But a good gyroscope is essential to getting really good, non-jittery, non-drifting measurements. So I'll show on the overhead, I have a setup here with the STM32F405, hold on, which is a really lovely Arduino compatible feather we did with ST. And I have it connected up to a feather OLED on this doubler. And what's nice is I can just plug in this STEMMA QT connector to, and this is the low cost LSM6DS33. So this one is the least expensive. And you'll notice that the gyroscope has an offset. So it thinks it's 2.1, 2.2, 1.3, and then, Z is 0.1, 0.2 offset. So I'm not moving it. This is being held stable against the table, but even just being held stable, you see that there's that offset. And that offset can be pretty large, and that's what it will cause drift in your IMU measurement. So if I unplug this now and I plug in the LSM6DSOX, I'll reset this. You'll see now, as long as I hold it steady against the table, it's, the X is 0.1 maybe, Y is also maybe 0.1. You see, I actually need to get more digits of precision because it's under 1 digit. And Z has about 0.6, so it's much lower drift on the gyroscope. It's a much higher quality gyroscope. It's been trimmed and calibrated. So the LSM6DSOX is a way better quality gyroscope than the LSM6DS33. It's more expensive, so it's a trade-off. If you don't need it, maybe you can get away with the lower cost version. But if you want to have a higher quality IMU, spend a little bit more, get the LSM6DSOX. It's got much better stability, much better accuracy, and you're going to get higher quality output. Then, if you are using this for industrial temperature ranges, so going up to 105 degrees centigrade, this chip is almost identical to this one. The drivers are actually, in fact, almost identical. You just have to detect the chip ID. But otherwise, it's very similar. The ISM can go up to 4,000 degrees per second, whereas these two can only go up to 2,000 degrees per second. So if you're having very fast motion, this sensor will do much better. This sensor is also good for a much larger temperature range, and it's got temperature compensation over that large range as well. So again, for industrial temperature uses and situations, the ISM, a little bit more expensive, but you're gonna get much better performance over a large temperature range. And also, again, it has a pretty good quality offset for the gyro. So, again, under 0.5 offset, and then of course you can trim that calibration in software as well. Another nice thing about the ISM330, which is pretty neat, is this sensor actually has the accelerometer and gyroscope on the same die. So you're going to get better synchronization between the two measurements as long as you read them both at the same time. And both the LSM6DSOX and the ISM330 have some cool stuff built in. Like they've got a pedometer and they've got interrupts, of course, and all sorts of like FIFOs if you need them. There's a great driver from ST, and we have a simplified driver. They also have a kind of cool state machine system built in that can do basic accelerometer, gyroscope, motion detection. It's not quite machine learning, but it's like kind of a state machine training system. And check out ST has some cool videos on how to use the built-in state machine. You have to program it in a certain way, but it's a way for you, if you don't want to go all the way to TensorFlow Lite for microcontrollers, you can detect, whether you're sweeping the motion or doing a circular motion or an angular motion. You can do that built into these sensors without any external computation on the microcontroller.
All right.
ISM 330.
Nothing brought us. All right, Lydia. Well, it's time for recap.
Okay. New. We've got some leftover Hackspace Christmas edition. It's not just for Christmas, it's year-round. 132 pages of awesome projects, from Raspberry Pi to Arduino to soldering to crafting to knitting to welding, kind of everything. Check it out. If you missed out on AdaBox 14, we've sold out. But you can still pick up this pack. which contains everything you need to build the projects that we put together for AdaBox 14. You know, they got the snow globe, the ornament, the gizmo, Circuit Playground Bluefruit, a couple of the extras, so you can kick off those projects and get ready for next year's Winter Wonderland. This is a very, 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 very small LED. This is a 1.5 by 1.5 millimeter NeoPixel. It's so tiny. Great for very small surface mount projects. We have these in an LED strip, so if you just want them pre-soldered and ready to go, I'd suggest the LED strip. But if you are pick and placing or hand soldering a surface mount design, you could use the extremely tiny LEDs to add a NeoPixel to your project. The DPS 310 is a very affordable precision barometric pressure and temperature sensor. Great for altitude detection, that's what it's great for. It's very affordable compared to most barometric pressure sensors. So great for drones, robotics, anything that has to do altitude detection, but also would be good for environmental sensing. And the star of the show is the ISM 330. It's an industrial quality ST accelerometer gyroscope, 6 degree of freedom IMU. Accelerometer and gyroscope on the same die, so you get like very accurate readings, very low noise, good for industrial temperature ranges with internal compensation. So when you really need a high quality IMU for your industrial robots, or you just want something a little bit better than what's on the market, this is kind of the best there is out there. ISM 330 IMU.
Okay, those new products.
I did
don't
it.
forget. Now it all makes sense. DOF IMU
DOF
is where it's at.
IMU.
So here's the thing.
What?
I don't ever want to use the words Industrial 4.0. I just...
They do have it in the
You
data
know
sheet.
what?
I didn't
You know what?
mention it, but they did say, ooh,
Okay,
like
so-
Industry 4.0.
So maybe all of us here who are watching and watching later can make a deal.
Yeah.
So we won't put the buzzwords on things if you just buy it for the right reasons. Like I don't want to end up putting like it's for Industry 4, Industrial 4.0.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like a wrong. It just seems like it's a very like cynical. Like the only reason someone would buy it is like, oh, I need Industrial 4.0 stuff.
I need Industry 4.0.
So this is really good stuff at a great price that can be used for industry. Maybe.
It's for, look, the word industrial in electronic means like a temperature
But
range
like, what was
and
Industry
quality.
3.0 and what's going to happen
Yeah.
in Industry 5.0? Is there going to be Industry 14.0? No. This
Is there 14.1? Why is
no
there
idea.
0.0? Like what? Is there any like sub revisions? Is like a bug fix?
Like, yeah. So, anyways, I kind of feel like if we all just agree like to stop having,
Stop.
because you know why people come up with those
Why?
things, because they work.
true.
So, anyways, all right. So we're gonna do some top secret.
Okay.
So
in the vault.
top secret. We're gonna do some. So probably no trivia thing tonight. We'll do some questions in the chat. Also phone things. We had a busy day.
Okay.
Top secret. What are these?
These are some more upcoming semis. Some of them are revisions. So some of these like the SI21, the SGP30, and the VL6180. These are sensors that we already have in the shop, and I'm really liking this STEMMA QT / Quick layout. 1 inch by 0.7 inch. It's nice and compact. It's got plenty of mounting holes, and they're in the same location. It's got these plug-and-play sensors. It's got the breakouts at the bottom. It's just really handy to have everything kind of have the same components and the same layout. Also makes my life a lot easier for when I do the manufacturing design, because I know like it's kind of all the same. I don't get to like reuse stencils necessarily. Well, sometimes I do, but I do like that everything's kind of the same size. And so we spun a bunch of our old sensors. So as we sell through and we get out of them and test these new ones, we'll update them to use this new layout.
Okay, we're going to show a very short video, 53 seconds. I think you did an excellent job doing machine learning with Teachable Machine. Are you wearing a hoodie or not a hoodie? And then,
It's my 1984 hoodie too, so it's in style.
can you tell a microcontroller what to do based on that information? So here we go. Data, what is this?
This is Machine Learning Monday. I'm using Teachable Machine to train up some images of me wearing a hoodie, and then some images of me not wearing a hoodie, and then me missing. And I trained a model, and you can see the model here. I have a hoodie on. It says I've got a hoodie at the bottom here.
Yeah.
And then I exported the model. So there you go. Exported it to TensorFlow.js. And then I've put it in this P5 sketch that will use web USB to connect to a Circuit Playground Express.
Yeah, so you're going to connect hardware.
Yeah, and then you can see the web USB sends data. So if I'm wearing a hoodie, it's yellow. If I'm not wearing a hoodie, it goes purple. So I'm connecting hardware to machine learning using Teachable Machine.
All right, Machine Learning Monday. Hoodie, no hoodie. Hoodie, no hoodie. Hoodie, no hoodie. All right, and then by popular demand, we made a little 3D rendering of Clue, and we spun it around, put some music to it, so you can watch this. And folks in the community already started putting together charts comparing microbit to the Adafruit Clue. Adafruit Clue is way different. However, it does have something in common. It has that nice connector, so there's some microbit compatible accessories that'll work with it. We got some cases coming out soon. This is for PyBadge, for PyGamer, for Edge Badge. You'll be seeing those soon. And with that, Lady Ada, is top secret things I have.
Get back in the vault.
No,
Wait.
the vault's
Oh,
not
that's
closing.
right. I have my.
There's something very, like right at the second, you throw my hat through and then go through, like Indiana Jones. Okay. What do you got?
I got some PCBs of Artur's Feather, the M7 1011. This is the NXP RT 1011 Feather chip. It's got SD card slot on the bottom. It's double-sided. It's a 4-layer board. Right before Chinese New Year, I got some PCBs ordered and got them in time. So I might be putting this together in the next couple of days. I think this would be kind of cool to try out this Feather design. It's got memory for CircuitPython and, of course, storing the program. It's got a STEMMA QT connector, USB-C, battery power, and this gigantic 80-pin QFP RT 1011. So very exciting, 500 megahertz chips. We'll see what can this thing do. Now
right.
get back in the vault.
Yeah, well, I was trying to close the vault door and that was like
I
stuck.
know,
It was wedged
sorry.
in. Okay. Go to adafruit.it/discord. Go into our Discord channel. We are heading there right now. Start asking your questions. We're gonna probably give away 2 things next week because we gotta go.
We got to go.
So we'll answer your questions.
But we gave you the gift of our time.
Yeah, and the gift of everybody hanging out and being cool together. So we're on the Discords. We're going to be up to 16,000 soon, but it's adafruit.it/discord. So there's one question that someone was asking, and I don't know if I can answer because it's top secret, but we can. I think we can. There's a couple things I think we can answer. Okay.
Maybe.
Was CircuitPython running on a Teachable Machine Circuit Playground demo that you did on Monday? And if not,
It was not. It was Arduino
Yeah.
because I needed to use Web USB, and we don't yet have a Web USB demo for CircuitPython.
And I'll say one of the things that's cool that we wanted to make sure is when we ship hardware, there's a very high likelihood you can decide to run Arduino if you want. You can run TinyGo if you want. You can run MakeCode if you want. In this case, you can run Circuit Playground, and then, oh, cool, I want to do this demo. Boop, double
Yeah,
click.
the demo, I modified an existing demo, which uses Web USB, not Web Serial. Web Serial is quite new. Hopefully that will, become more popular, and I think you still have to turn it on in a special way. But in Chrome, it doesn't even come default. You have to do a thing to do a thing.
Okay.
But that demo is Web USB to match the existing code.
How is the heat dissipation on the 1.5 millimeter neopixels?
I mean, don't turn it on full brightness all the time and have them in close proximity. It's meant for an indicator, not for an illuminator.
Okay. Lady, do you think Ivy League colleges like MIT are worth it?
It depends. I mean, I don't think that you have to go to MIT or an Ivy League to be a good engineer. It kind of is what you make it. I mean, I liked being at MIT, but I also had a really good time at BU. If you want to do research with a certain lab or professor, chances are you have to go to the university to do so. I mean, there's sometimes exchange programs and stuff, but it doesn't really matter. Some of the best engineers I know did not go to Ivy Leagues. It's really not essential.
I'll tell you one thing about Adafruit, because people like to work with us. We don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
There's a lot of folks here that
I don't even know where they went to
might
school.
have a GED. Some of them didn't even graduate high school. A lot of folks didn't even go to a 2-year or 4-year. That's okay, because what we try to do is hire for the culture, for the vibe. Are they interested in working together? And for the remote folks that we work with, it's usually because they're in the community. They post up projects, they do things. So we try to make sure that it's very, like, here's the things that you want to contribute. Open source does make it easier. People are like, why do you open source? Well, one of the things is when people are doing open source together, that's a great way to find potential coworkers and people to work for a company.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I do think, I'll say this, is things have changed, there's been progress, but I think if you didn't have the MIT pedigree, I think early on, the crummy duders online that were like, oh, you're not a real engineer, because you had that, I think you got less of it, but you still got a bunch.
No, then
So-
people said, like, I can't believe you went to MIT. Like, they must have really lowered their
But
standards.
I'm just saying, I know that.
Which they did.
Yeah, they did. but I think it would have been worse. It could always be worse, but I think it would have been worse. And I think that was a hard thing that you had to do and go through, and I think it did help.
Yeah, I mean, like, MIT really sucked. Like, it sucks.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone asked about the key transmitter on YouTube. Looks like someone was helping them out with that.
Okay, cool.
Any chance of chartreuse PCB or more purple? Yeah, sure.
It's like not a standard color. We try to get purple sometimes, but as you can tell, it doesn't always come out quite right.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, cool. So folks like the answer about the teachable machine. And someone said, don't let schooling get in the way of your education. Yeah, that's kind of what you do. And what you do with it. All right. So I think we're going to call that. I think we're going to call that a
night.
A night.
Okay,
So
and we'll give away 2 things.
We're probably going to give away 2 things, and plus I didn't have time to do some fun
The
stuff.
phone isn't working right now. Phone lines are down.
It's working, but it's uncertain.
Not.
Yeah, I don't want to experiment at 9:39. Okay, so that's
All
our
right,
show
thanks,
for tonight.
everybody.
Don't forget the code is DOFIMU.
Get your DOFs in.
That'll be up to 11:59 tonight. Thank you very much, everyone in the Discord chat, all the various chats, all the Adafruit team members, both here and remote. Thank you. I believe it is Zay and Slack behind the scenes here at Adafruit helping out. Special thanks to all of our community and all of our customers. Congratulations to Joey and all the people that entered the Take Flight with Feather contest. Thank you, Sophie, for all your work with that. Thank you, DigiKey, Supplyframe, Hackaday. We've been sponsors on
That
that.
was a great contest.
Super fun. And more ahead, because we're going to tell that story in the open, like we always do. What does it look like taking that to manufacturing? Well, we're going to do it here. What a cool thing.
That's cool.
What a cool thing.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to be neat? There's going to be someone who reads a book on that they never read before, and it's going to spark something, and then they're going to do something, and they're going to do something. Another person's going to do something. And, like I was saying earlier, when you came up with Feather, you didn't think, boy, this is going to be great for an ebook. This is going to be great for assistive technology. This is going to be great for satellites. But you can't start that way. You're like, here's like the best possible thing, with a lot of empathy for the people that are using it or would use it in mind. And
Yeah.
then you get this, like, the thing that people could use to build things. It's a very, very powerful way to do electronics. So
congratulations
to you too.
I didn't do much.
Yeah, you did.
Just a little.
You worked on a bunch of Feather stuff.
I know.
I remember every day. I remember when we did Feather. It was like every week there was a new Feather. It was just unending.
Now
It was
there's a
Feather,
new
Feather,
Stemma
Feather,
QT
Feather, Feather.
every
Now
week.
it's Stemma.
Yeah, every week.
Yeah. All right.
Plus, there's a feather once in a while.
All right, everybody.
All right, thanks everybody.
Bye bye.
See you on the other side.
Here's your moment of Zener.